Hi, everyone. I'm Mandi Rae of Ecstatic Astrology, and I'm here for OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology. And today we are talking with Louise Edington. Thank you for joining me today, Louise.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Well, we are going to talk about the business of astrology and a little bit about what Louise is doing for the AstroBiz Summit that we have coming up. And also, Louise is going to be doing a mentorship for OPA, which is very valuable, in my opinion. And we're going to talk just a little bit about what all of that looks like. And then we'll give you some details on the registration at the end for the AstroBiz Summit. And business for me and astrology is such a funny thing to talk about because I think a lot of people who learn astrology don't necessarily go into it with business as the mindset. It's not generally why people get into it. But once
Mhm,
you start to have people asking you for sessions and what does this mean, then you go, wait a
mhm.
minute, this is taking my time and my energy, and I could charge for it. And so there is a lot of talk about, what we should charge and how we should go about it. The thing I like about what you're talking about is it's more based on your content and what you want to share with people.
Mhm.
So that is Substack and how to write for it. That is what you're presenting on, right?
That's what I'll be presenting on at the Biz Summit. Yeah. Mhm.
You have so much more to
Yeah.
offer than that, and we're probably going to talk about some of it. So, what are your thoughts in general on business and astrology?
Well, if you want to be a practicing astrologer, I think you have to approach it with a business mindset, and unless you just want to, unless you just want to continue with it almost like a hobby. And I kind of came into being a professional astrologer from the opposite direction. I had been a social media marketing coach, and I had business coaches and learned all about, the nuts and bolts of running a business. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this and throw all my time into it, really, I need to make some money. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of people come into astrology with this, I want to help people kind of thing, which is wonderful. Of course, I want to help people too, but that often comes into an overgiving kind of scarcity mode of not owning your value, because it takes a lot to become a competent professional astrologer. We do a lot of study, a lot of time, a lot of practice, whether it's classes or self-study. It's You've put a lot of you into it, so why not get rewarded for it?
I couldn't agree more with that. And you keep
Mhm,
studying too. I mean, it's just
mhm,
constant learning and constant diving into it. And it's a passion. And I think
mhm,
there is, especially these days, the gig economy and making
mhm,
your passions into a business. It's just the way the world is going, and we
mhm.
consume content, and so
Yeah.
there is no reason we can't make it and receive back for it. So
Mhm,
my next question for you is, what do you think are some important tips for
mhm,
maybe someone who has already been practicing but wants to improve their
mhm.
business acumen with astrology?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of kind of pretty free business information just out there on YouTube if you want to start there. I'm not necessarily thinking you have to, go and get a business coach, or, there's something like the Open Mentorship, which are they're all run by people who've made a successful business out of astrology. But I think the first step is really kind of looking at yourself and your own chart, being astrologers, and how you like to work. It's no good saying, be out there on every social media platform there is if you don't like social media. You've got to find a different way to work, right? And do you like to work in person? Do you like to work online? Do you like to, everybody's different. Do you want to be a speaker? And not everybody wants all the things. And I think there is a tendency to think you have to do all the things, and you don't. You have to kind of find your way of working. And usually your chart will tell you that, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, find your niche
Yeah.
placement in your chart and
Mm,
figuring out what works for you and where to direct your energy because you can get scattered and go all over the place.
mhm.
So I know that writing for you is
Mm,
a big deal. Cosmic Owl Astrology is Louise's business name. And also, she has written several books, 3 books, yes.
mhm,
And I love also all of them. So,
mhm.
do you have anything to offer for people who may want to write?
Yeah. Well, I started writing daily posts on Facebook, which is kind of where I started. And that's how my publishers found me and got me writing books. And I just love to write. And my posts were getting longer and longer and longer. And then Substack came along, and I kind of looked at it and thought, hey, I could build up an audience here that's more my audience. And it's different to blogging because you can get paid for it. Now, all my posts were free at first, but people just started subscribing for money. And then I decided to learn how to do Substack properly. So I kind of learned of somebody else who kind of teaches you how to do Substack. And I became a Substack bestseller. So, I'm earning, a reasonable amount every year now from Substack. So it's just one string in my bow, though. And Substack has, since I joined it, become even more than just for writers, I have to say, because I'm a content producer. I have a Gemini moon opposing Jupiter. So I'm like, I talk and teach all the time online, and I like to put it out in the world. And so, I do YouTube as well. But Substack now has, you've got your kind of own community. You can have there's 2 kind of paid levels, and it has kind of a notes thing, which is a bit more like a social media feed that you can also put content out on. And you can also run your podcast through Substack. So Substack has become a really fabulous place, and it's kind of a bit removed from some of the problematic areas of what I'm going to call legacy social media. There's no ads. There's for a start, and the algorithms I don't know if they even have algorithms particularly. I mean, they do to a degree. If you're a bestseller, your posts are more likely to be seen and things
Mm,
like that because you've worked hard at it to get to that point. And by the way, that's over 100 paid subscribers.
gotcha.
Um, so to my mind, it's a very self-contained platform. It could even be used as a basic website for people starting out, because setting up a website is a big thing and a lot of people get stuck at that point. They've got to have this perfect website, and things like that. Times are changing with how we market ourselves, and it's a way of marketing yourself but giving value, which was always a big thing about blogging. If you
Mm.
give value with your blogging, you will get people reading your blogs, but really, unless it leads to clients, you don't make any money from it.
That's a good point. So, how do you market your Substack?
Yeah, I do. I post it on Facebook when and other social media when I do a free post, because some are free now and some are behind the paywall, so to speak. But really, most of my new subscribers come from within Substack now, because an awful lot of people um, go to Substack to read and to learn from all kinds of people: writers, bloggers, video content producers. And then, recommendations. Other people will recommend my Substack. So then I get new subscribers from that. And I recommend other Substacks. So it's a very unique area for people who are used to just trying to get Facebook followers and things, I think.
Yeah. Would you say
Mhm.
that you work at writing for it daily, or what does your
Mm.
routine look like? And do you ever struggle with
Mm.
motivation?
I write every day. Most people won't, but that's just me. And I was writing every day on Facebook. So for me, writing every day keeps me in tune with what's happening in the skies always. So I kind of do a daily energy update. And it's almost like my journaling in the morning, to be honest, because sit there, I've got my Google Doc that write it on and then copy paste. And it helps me to feel what's going on in the planets. But that's my way of working. Some people just, write on new and full moons, and they will write like what would have been a traditional blog post if you want to write a blog post about Venus, for example. You know, I think again you have to kind of find your way of doing it. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Mm.
wondered about that because I think with content creation, where that's concerned, it is about doing it regularly,
Oh,
consistency. So,
always.
and you do it every day, and that is extremely consistent. So, I think it builds
Mm.
trust in the people who subscribe to you. They know it's going to come, they know it's coming every day, and it becomes a routine.
Because consistency is key. So if you decide to do something like Substack, you do have to be consistent and decide whether you're going to do it once a week or whatever. Yeah.
And it's just
Mhm.
as easy as getting started and opening one, right?
It is, yeah, but there are certain best ways to set up your Substack, which I learned after I set mine up. So I'll be talking about that when I'm in the Biz Summit. Mm.
You would be sharing some of this also during your mentorship.
Oh, absolutely, I will. Yes, I'll be sharing about all the options, depending on how people work and how to market themselves and how to build multiple streams of income, which is a big passion of mine, and Substack is one of mine. So, I've got others, and so I'll be talking about that because there's a limit to how many readings people can do to build a successful business. To be quite honest, you have to scale it in some way. That's biz coaching talk, scale your business.
It's true. It's true. I find myself, if I have two or three in a day, I need to take a giant Epsom salt bath that night. So it's hard to keep that going every day because you are taking on someone's story. And that's a beautiful thing, but it's also something that requires a lot of emotional energy, spiritual energy. So I think that's a wonderful point is to scale it in some
Mm,
way. And a lot of times
mm,
we are sharing our opinions, even in, I mean, you get a session or a reading from someone because you like their medicine, so people like to
exactly.
consume that in a general way. And with your mentorship, I'm sure you will be outlining exactly how to get started. I know for me,
Mm.
it is something that can kind of seem very Neptunian or very Piscean, the business world. It's just very like, oh, there's so much. It's confusing. So to have any clarity is valuable in and of itself. And I'm sure that your mentorship
Mm.
would be wonderful for someone like me. I might sign up.
Oh, and
Um,
I'll be having people create a business plan, which is only a plan. It doesn't mean you have to do everything perfectly, But
mhm.
mostly it's going to be kind of tuning into how people work and what they want to do with their astrology business practice.
Yeah. And I mean, there's something to be said about committing. And I feel like if you were to take something like a mentorship, it is a form of commitment to wanting to
Mm.
do it a different way or succeed or wherever you might be
Mm.
in all of that. So all
And I
of
have to
that,
say, it's a relatively inexpensive way to do it. I've had business coaches that cost, uh,
a
shall we
lot.
say, at least 10 times more than this mentorship is costing.
Yeah. It is. And I mean, that is, gosh, such a good point because, and
Mm,
one of the reasons I love OPA so much is that
mm,
no matter what you're doing with OPA, there is this sense of mentorship involved in community and support.
mm,
And
Hmm.
learning and giving. And it's just a wonderful way to interact with other astrologers and to improve your business. And I do like that OPA, the Organization for Professional Astrology, talks about the business aspect of it,
Me too.
but also with the ethical concerns in mind and the spiritual concerns. And it's
Hmm.
just a wonderful way to go about it. And there are a bunch of mentors. Louise, you still have a spot or two left?
I do. I'm not sure how many at the moment. I haven't had an update, but and I can't even remember the total number we're allowed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I've got so much going on.
get in while the getting's hot is all I'm saying, like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
these do fill up. And
they do.
if you can't do it, you can look at the AstroBiz Summit, which will be offering
Mhm.
several presentations from several different people,
Yeah.
wonderfully creative and successful people, might I add, who do
Mhm.
astrology. Is there anything you want
I,
to add?
I do want to say I do know who has signed up for the mentorship already, and obviously I'm not going to give names, but I will say they're a really lovely group developing. I know who they all are, so it will be a fabulous group. So,
And community, and it's very important, especially if you work
oh,
alone, and a lot of astrologers do. So yeah, where you get to share, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you. I'm looking forward to the presentation as well on Substack. So you can catch that at opaastrology.org. There is information on all of it, as well as presentations that we give to members every month, a magazine that we put out called The Evolving Astrologer, just so many offerings from OPA. So please check out the website and check out Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. And I'm Mandi Rae of Ecstatic Astrology. We'll see you guys on the flip side.